We shall now have a rather special session on navigating difficult topics with our children, for which I invite on stage the moderator Bulbul Hasan and our speakers Shannon Massar, Trishita Sut, and Zubin Miller. Bulbul Hasan was born in Shillong and later lived and studied in Bangalore and Chennai, where she graduated in literature, psychology, and journalism and completed a Montessori training. She has worked in early childhood education in Singapore, America, Mexico, and Spain.
Before I introduce our speakers, I also want to just say that this is really the first time I think all the four of us are in a situation like this where we've been put on stage. I think educators and people who actually go out there and do the groundwork are usually people who only interact with children, parents. We're not used to sitting up on stage and talking to an audience. So thank you for being here. And also thank you for the Shillong Literary Festival for creating this space. You know, as someone who constantly works with parents and supports parents in their children's development, I think creating spaces where we begin to talk about issues that are not commonly addressed, or where we begin to create these sort of safe spaces to talk about uncomfortable topics, right, is so important, because it's only when we begin as adults, I hope there's some parents and teachers in the audience, I think it's only when we begin to create our own understanding and change our own perceptions that then translates to our interactions with children. And also around these topics that may otherwise not be given the focus and attention that they so crucially merit. We're usually so much more concerned with academics, the intellectual side of child development. We don't usually talk about social and emotional learning. We don't talk about child safety. We don't talk about sex education as often as we should, and so it's really, I'm really happy that we've created this space and we have these amazing speakers here to share more with us. I also think that what's special about this session and the work that Zubin and Shannon and Trishita do is that, you know, their work is really providing real tools, right? And so I hope we can all take some of these tools with us. We all interact with children in some way or the other, whether it's in a family situation or in school, or children do form such a big part of our society wherever we are. And so I hope we can take some of these tools with us into our everyday lives and get across to children, right? And so also these tools are being given to us in these spaces which we are only just beginning to talk about, even in this whole dialogue in education and social work with children and families. Okay, so without much further ado, I'd love to introduce our speakers for the day. We have Shannon Massar, who is co-founder and director of Faith Foundation. She has a master's degree in social work. She has extensive experience in child's rights and anti-trafficking in rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration, and has worked with Justice and Care, Save the Children India, and SOSWA, is that right? SOSWA FHI. She has taught at the Social Work Department, MLCU, and worked as Program Manager of the State Child Protection Society, Meghalaya, under the Integrated Child Development Scheme. Her experiences and her local understanding of the vulnerabilities of girls and young women in her communities led to the inception of the organization Faith Foundation, co-founded with 3 other women in 2013. Welcome, Shannon. Trishita Sut is the National Project Manager for Durex, the Birds and Bees talk program at Plan International India chapter. She holds a degree from Miranda College and an MSW from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. She previously worked with the Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation, the Public Health Department, Tata Trust, and Piramal Foundation, is that right? Piramal Foundation. Trishita leads the teams in 6 northeastern states, including Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Sikkim. And we have Zubin Miller, who works as a content associate at Pratham Education Foundation, an NGO that works towards improving the quality of education across India. His role involves creating and curating educational content before designing initiatives and organizing workshops towards using this content. The primary form of this content are stories and books. More specifically, his professional interests and experience include translation, gender, and social emotional learning. Luckily, children's books reside at the intersection of all these interests. So just also for all of you, I'm so happy to be here with all of you. I think we're all nervous together. I almost want to hold each one's hands, but I think we're going to get through this, and I think it's going to be a really interesting session for everybody. A little shift from everything literary, but also such an important space to hold in everything that everyone has spoken about so far. Yeah. So what we're going to do is Zubin, Trishita, and Shannon have all very nicely prepared a 7 to 8 minute presentation about their work. So I think we'll start with you, Zubin, if that's okay. You need to go up there. Okay. So yeah, they'll just be presenting their work, and then depending on the time, I'll either have some questions for them or we'll open it up to all of you. Yeah? All the best.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Bulbul. So yeah, I'm going to talk about how a team of us at Pratham Education, I'll have to stand, okay. At Pratham Education Foundation have used books to develop social emotional learning of kids. I just want to quickly clarify the phrase social emotional learning. So I'll just define it quickly. So social emotional learning is the process of developing social and emotional skills that are vital for school, work, and life. And these include, for example, self-awareness, self-control, and interpersonal skills. Next slide. Should I get a clicker? Oh. Okay, that's great, thanks. So yeah, just before going into detail about social emotional books and our work, I wanted to just talk more broadly about books and the kind of effect they can have. So the next slide, yeah, sorry.
This one?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I just recently heard this talk, and in it the children's book writer said that books have powers, but children's books have superpowers. And when I heard it, like maybe some of you, I thought this is a bit of a cliche, but what she said after it, I think really stayed with me, and that's why I kept it here on this slide. I'll try and read it from there. So she says that because you never again love a book the way you do when you're a child, and that most of us remember our favorite book for our entire lives, and that books have this power because reading is a complex activity that lights up your brains. And this is kind of my experience, and then I sort of asked other colleagues, and they were like, yeah, this is my favorite children's book, and we had this long conversation, and I thought, yeah, this would be a good way to start this discussion. Next slide. Yeah, so just to give a context to our work, that this wasn't a planned project. It came from another project and from a lot of conversations with different people. So the project was initially looking to challenge gender stereotypes in content. And for this, we had lots of conversations with parents, teachers, people in our own organization. And in these conversations, we realized that emotions are a really important part of gender stereotyping. They're one of the important themes within challenging gender stereotyping. If I just give you an example, in the conversations we had with parents, we asked them what kind of books they would like to see that aren't there right now. And one thing they talked about was wanting more books about difficult situations and difficult topics. And this was during the COVID pandemic, so I think it was more. It was great that situation brought that conversation into focus, and yeah, I think these conversations just guided our eventual curation, choice of our books, which we later used. And just below, no, that's fine. So there's this concept, bibliotherapy. It's actually not a concept which we use to frame our work, but I thought it would be good to share now, because I think it's an interesting concept, and just the two differentiations, the two different types of bibliotherapy. So you have developmental bibliotherapy, which is sharing books to help with typical adjustment problems. So you can see the example, book A is about the first day a child goes to school and all the typical difficult situations that happen during that day. And then the second type is clinical bibliotherapy. So that's where you share books to address more significant emotional needs, such as domestic violence. This book over here is about depression, and it's a special book. So, yeah, next slide. Yeah, so this is about our work that we've been doing over the past couple of years. This is with very young children, which is challenging, and like recently I've been really excited to do it with older children. But I think what's really special about this work is working with this age group on this topic, is that you get to interact a lot with parents and other members of the community who are such an important part of children's lives at this age in particular, and who are really the ones, even though I can try and other people try in the class to talk about certain things, talking to them in order for them to talk with children feels almost like the most important part of the work. So yeah, in the photos there are examples of where we use the books in class, in mothers groups, mothers of Anganwadi children who meet every week, take the book home, read it, discuss it with their children. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, these are 4 really special books that we've used over the past couple of years. The first one, Angry Aku, is it's a book about anger, but it's really about the experience of anger. So it's not about just a small incident being quickly resolved. It's like you can see in the image, this is one page where the father gives the child milk and the anger slowly reduces. But as you can see, it goes from red to pink. It doesn't fully reduce. So it's a series of efforts by the father to talk and get them to express their anger in different ways. The second book is called The Girl Who Could Not Stop Laughing. This is a really unusual book. As you can see from the image, it's a story, but it's also a child just actually exploring, trying to understand why they laugh so much. So they go to a scientist and they ask them, can you create a machine that stops me from laughing? And they go to a historian and say, have people always laughed? And this image is them talking to someone and the person saying, everyone laughs, even animals laugh. So yeah, I think this is also a book which was great with adults, and it was somewhere where we started to understand the curiosity and laughter of children is a challenging thing for adults and parents also to manage. And they're often disciplined and misunderstood for that sort of laughter and naughtiness. And yeah. The third book is Maya the Warrior. This is a story that I kind of lean to when I go to an Anganwadi and want to read a book. It's about a child who's bullied by some boys for wanting to play with toys which are supposedly not for them. And like with Angry Aku, it really takes you through the depth of the emotion, in this case sadness, and also the importance of parents or adult figures who can really listen to the child and support them. And then the final story is Anand. It's the story of a community, I would say. He's a garbage collector, but it's just about different people with the community and sort of daily life in the community. What was special about this is that parents and teachers were very resistant to it. But when you did it with kids, you really got amazing reactions, because it's just about respecting and enjoying the normal personal relationships in your daily lives.
And all these books are available.
Yeah, all
right?
these books are available online, free of access, in multiple languages, and also to buy also. So yeah. Next slide. So yeah, just to finish, this is a wider context, just to say that books in this area, there are more and more books in this area, and there's more and more demand for this area. It's just an example of a publisher who've reported on this. And also to say that while I work at the moment with younger children on developmental bibliotherapy, you could say, there are a range of books on more serious issues for older children. The first book, The Lesson, is about sexual abuse. This book, Husol Bhaiya Smile, is a book about depression. And then the last book, which is, I mean, they're all special, but it's a book about grief after the death of a loved one. Yeah, that's it. Also, I think these books are for adults too. Like, they're children's books, but you should all read them.
Thanks, Zubin. That's just fascinating, right? The detail with which you work in this area. And also, what better way to change the paradigm, right, than through books. Thank you so much. We're going to go on now with Trishita. Trishita, I don't know if you need, if you, yeah.
Hello. Yes. Hello. Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy. Thank you, Bulbul, to making this very comfortable. To start with, definitely, yes, the topic that we are discussing today and Zubin's presentation was very helpful, and especially working in this sector, working with young kids and adolescents all over Northeast specifically, has given me a lot of understanding on the requirement, on the way the changes that we have, how different the changes that has happened over the years, what are the complex situations that a young teenager, young boy, young girl goes through. So, and then basically this project, Durex, the Birds and the Beestalk project, deals with all, talking about difficult things, which is, I think, the whole, this panel discussion is about. Me, along with my team across all the Northeast states, we talk about making difficult things simpler to young kids, to teachers, to parents, to communities, so that there's no, young kids they have a platform, they have a right kind of knowledge, I would say, to take the right decision. And it's very, very important. And there I will, along with my presentation, I'll share instances also which has come from the ground level, how they deal with situations. So, yes. Next slide. So, no, I'm fine. Yes, I'm fine. So basically this project is, as mentioned, we are spreaded in 6 Northeast states. We almost, this is a project we are working directly with schools. This is a school implementation project. We have a curriculum book which is on growing up life skills. So we deal with different topics like body changes, emotional changes, then sexual and reproductive health, peer pressure, mental health, internet safety. So we have chapter-wise, there are different topics that we deal with chapter-wise. It is, it has been taken very, very, what I would say, very welcome. We got a very good welcome from the Department of Educations all through the 6 states. And the schools are very, interactive. They're very, they want us. They have invited us. They want the project to go through, the curriculums to be taught to the young kids. And especially starting with when we started with this project, when we talk about difficult topics, when we talk about body changes, when we talk about things like, say, sexual orientation, I would go with. When we talk about when a young boy or young girl, how they change, the body changes, maybe growth of mustache, pimple, all these are topics that they hide. They do not share. So we try to bring out these things, that it's a normal thing. It should be talked about. Where we should not be, the young people should not be feeling ashamed, or they should not hide away. And then when especially they should have a proper mentor. So we try to make schools as safe spaces. So we have safe corners that we create in schools, which gives them a platform. We have where we have our curriculum books, we have our reading materials and all, which is accessible to young kids in schools and community centers, in libraries, public libraries and all. So they have a platform, they have a safe space where they can go and communicate. Also, we try to take this project through teachers. Basically, we have a belief that teachers are the most building block for any young kid. They spend, a young student from 10 to 19 years, they spend the highest time in schools. So the school should be a safe space where they can go, they have a confidant to talk to someone who can show them the right way. And they are not influenced by decisions that might harm them. So it's very, very important, I feel, for me, that we talk about growing up, how basically the changes from growing up from a 10-year young kid to becoming the young adult, and the choices they take. And especially looking at the schools and the experiences that we have on the ground. Initially, when we talk about periods in menstruation and white discharge in young boys when they sleep, they giggle at us. They start laughing in schools. It's very funny. They hide themselves. But that was the initial thing. Slowly, when we started going to these schools, we have reached out to more than 30 to 40,000 schools all over Northeast. So when we now our schools, they come up to our team when our volunteers, when our state teams go to school, they actually come up and share. And even the teachers, they have accepted it in a way that is very, I would say it's very exciting at the same time, and then was unexpected. Initially, we had faced a lot of backlash because of the topics that we deal with. If you can just, next. Not this, next one. Yes, okay. So when we take our tools to the school, so they have accepted it in a very, very nice manner. And also we have developed many different tools for the young kids, for communities. We have, because Northeast, when we are talking about Northeast is very much influenced by culture, music, and traditions. So we try to bring this into the way we take the project to schools. We have our own music album, conscious music album, which talks about these difficult topics. It's all available online. It's free to access. We have a chat bot where young kids can ask their questions, and then it's Android based, and it's even available on internet, on computers also. So they can ask questions, and then there are informed knowledge, informed replies that they can, information that they can gather. We have different materials, like we have books on magazines like Outlook Issues and all, which many respected people, especially people from the Directorate of Education, have also given their views about the project, have talked about things openly. And also, I would say, because we have 5 keywords, which is we focus on inclusion, equity, protection, consent, and awareness. So our whole project, the Birds and a Beestalk project, is basically is around those 5 keywords. And then when we talk about inclusion, we talk about equity, we don't leave anyone behind. We have reached out to special schools, we have reached out to schools with rehabilitation centers, we have reached out to different orphanages and homes and all. So we have tried to take it to make it accessible to everyone, so that there's a increase in the awareness and increase in the knowledge about things which is very difficult at times, I feel. So
thank you. Thank you, Trishita, for that rather extensive presentation and the work that you do, which seems to be reaching out really widely, no? Sounds like. And it'll be interesting to look at how that works on the ground, but hopefully we'll have time for questions in a bit. Let's continue with you, Shannon. Do you want to stand up? No, right there. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Bulbul. Thank you, Wong Mary, for bringing me here. And especially for me and the organization and the team who's here to be able to speak about the work that we do. And of course, our focus is very much only in Meghalaya. So the work that we do actually is, we work with children. We work on the prevention of child sexual abuse, a topic that I think many are not very comfortable with to speak. And for us, we understand that eradicating child sexual abuse would be impossible, but preventing it could be something that I think each one of us adults, as parents and schools, can actively, take part in the prevention. So since I've been called here to speak about navigating difficult, topics with children, and it's going to be a small little session on how we actually teach our children, and it could be a start, I think, for all of us here who are parents, adults, brothers, sisters, and children themselves. So as an organization, we've been in existence, I think, now for the past since 2013. And when we first started, the main challenge that we received, I think, from many schools and institutions was like, it does not happen in my school. It is not happening in our homes. It's not happening in our communities. But we forged ahead from one-time sessions that we've had, which is like about half an hour to 1 hour. We were able to move to about 3 to 4 sessions. And now I think as an organization, that is 10 years old, now we've been able to have like 9 sessions per class. And I think that's a big achievement for the team, because the fact that speaking about these issues are so, so sensitive, and many are not really happy about speaking about this. So the program that we run in schools is called the Personal Safety Education Program. It is about teaching children personal boundaries. So the Personal Safety Education Program is just a small part of what we call the sexuality education. We've not really moved into comprehensive sexuality education, but we're very much focused on the prevention of child sexual abuse, which is also part of sexuality education. Yeah. So what we do first when we start with children, when we work with children, is we always tell them that they're special. It's about, building their confidence. It's about them understanding themselves. I think that is the key that we do whenever we go to schools or to communities and work with children. That's the first thing that we do. And I think we realized that over a period of time that, we need to look at creative ways and means of how can we, actively engage children. When we started, we were the ones designing the programs and the activities, and I think over a period of time we were able to, look at could we, engage them, understand what children need, what children want, and I think that was how we were able to also develop our curriculums. So building self-esteem, we look at it as a way, to reduce the vulnerabilities, to abuse and harm, because child sexual abuse is the issue that we work with. And the other thing that we really focus on, and I think we also speak to parents and teachers, that the beginning to start conversations with children, on sexuality or on understanding safety is by teaching them, the proper names of the private body parts. And it's rather sad to know that many of us actually we're not so comfortable with naming our private body parts, and I think, of course, we've had the challenges in schools as well when schools have said, oh, you know what, you should not be actually teaching children these. But we know that this is the key. It's the key to starting a conversation on how children can make informed decisions, can actually safeguard themselves from any form of abuse. So we've moved also into looking at, are there other ways beyond just classroom teaching? We've introduced visual art and look at colors, and could children learn through art and learn about safe and unsafe touches. And I think for these, whenever we conduct these sessions, it's the children themselves who actually come up with, them understanding that this is safe and this is unsafe. Another thing that we do, and I think for all of us, I think even as adults, is that, we do have these body signals that we feel, right? If a dog is barking or if there's an earthquake, right now I think I'm like sweating. So that's like it's not a warning sign per se, but then, so certain things, simple things that we can actually teach our children. So for example, you look at, when a child, you could speak to a child and say, if you're feeling that your heart is pounding, or you feel like, your hands are sweaty, and those are the body signals that, your body is telling you, that you should listen to, and especially when you are in unsafe situations, or if someone is actually touching you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable. And very explicitly, we would tell them that touching of private body parts is a big no, unless it's for health reasons, unless it's for reasons that, for hygiene reasons. So the other thing that, that like I said, that, we've tried to look at various ways and means of how could we, engage with children. So we've come up with comics, on online grooming and safety. And when you look at that, we've named that girl Thay Thay. Of course, knowing that maybe children could relate to this. The other work that we do is, we do workshops with children on how they could create comics stories. And based on what they think, what they feel, they've been able to come up with a lot of comics and materials wherein we are then able to use these for our campaigns and, awareness. Yeah. So these are the, the curriculum that our team has, designed, and we have a lot of other, things that materials that we also have produced, for children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shannon. Thank you for the work that you do here in Meghalaya. It's, I think one thing that comes to me, and this question was supposed to be specifically for Zubin. We only have a few minutes to wind up, but I think I'm going to put this question out there to all the three of you, if you can just answer very quickly. what comes to me a lot is, what do we as adults, I know we've spoken about children and taking these issues over across 2 schools, but what do we as adults, how do we need to equip ourselves? What changes do we need to bring about in ourselves as parents, as teachers, and as adults in society, which can further impact the work, the really important work that all 3 of you do? If any one of you want to.
I believe that, the values and the attitudes that we have regarding sexuality education or sex education, that is something that, that should not deter, giving the right information to children. We may believe that, maybe giving sexuality education would be only for adolescents, and only, talking to them about sex would be only, when they're ready to get married. But I think we should actually start early and find, early as so early in the sense, like, I can share that, I started speaking to my child at 3 years old. I mean, when she was at 3. So it's about giving age-appropriate information and knowledge, so that they're able to have the skills and to be able to, safeguard themselves, make proper decisions, informed decisions regarding their life. They can lead happy lives.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you.
Again, also understanding what age-appropriate information is, and getting that information first for ourselves as adults, right? Zubin or Trishita, would you like to comment quickly? Because I think Wanda is standing here. So.
Adding to Shannon, I definitely agree that it's very, very important to bring sensitization among the adults. And especially we have a feeling that young kids do not know. But when I'm going out on the field and meeting young kids, going to schools, I have realized, and I'm sure same goes with you all also, that they have idea about everything. Like, so
Absolutely.
very, very important that we do make sense, like, to them, age-wise, what they should know. But yes, they have a lot of ways to get the wrong kind of information nowadays, which is very, very harmful. They get it in a wrong way, they feel, and they share it among their friends, and they never reach out to adults. They are always ashamed, they are always afraid the way we will accept them. So I think that has to come from us. It's very important that we have faced that, we have come through that time. So it's time that we change ourselves and give that freedom and that space to young people to come and talk it out.
Absolutely. And I think that also touches upon something that I harp on about a lot, which is creating relationship and real relationship with children. Zubin, please conclude.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, something I was thinking about, which has been a big feature of conversations with, like, teachers and parents, is they do openly communicate that we find this difficult. Like, we find talking about these issues or dealing with this kind of behavior difficult. So I think what I learned from this conversation and what, like, we try to talk about is that, first of all, to say, yeah, it is difficult, and also the way the sort of impatience you feel when your child is upset or something might also be connected to how you feel about when you get upset, the impatience you have with your own feeling of upset. So yeah, that's just.
Absolutely. So also not just putting it all out there on our children, but also contacting our own emotions and our own sort of centers, right, when we work with children, socially and emotionally. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of all the 4 of us, because I think this is the first time for all of us being up on stage talking about work that we hold so dearly and which is so important in all the spheres that we are in. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Trishita. Thank you, Zubin. Thank you.
I thank Shannon, Trishita, Zubin, and Bulbul for an important conversation, which I think has given each of us much to think about for ourselves and our children I would now like to present the speakers with mementos.
I just want to briefly say a word. The reason why I felt that this was so important is that we started off on the 14th for Children's Day. And, after we had so many lovely children's literature, I know that each of you are working on with children, but on difficult subjects. And actually, it was through that lens that each of you were invited here to talk about how you're using books and writing actually to also to be able to as a tool for your work in this difficult space, which is actually really also part of our normal. So thank you so much for agreeing. I know it was, like you said, everyone was nervous who was on this panel, and there was a lot of conversation that we had before this, but thank you for sharing your work, because that too is it's so important what you're doing, and deep respect to each of you. Thank you. Also, Shannon, I want to say, has brought from Faith Foundation, has brought a couple of tools for all of us, adults and children, and to use with our children also for us. So they are the...
So we have this tool that was created by the team, tip tap toe, what color do you want? And I think the team is there behind. We can, they can share some of the comics. We have batches and these, and you could use them for yourself. Yeah, one example. So for example, tip tap toe, what color do you choose? Blue. Okay. BLUE. What number do you choose? 4. Okay. So safety rule number 4 is, it's never my fault.
Thank you for that. What a lovely, lovely note to end on, Shannon.